Hello and welcome to this episode of Stage of the Game. Yay!
Heyo.
Woohoo!
As it is October, we are doing a special themed episode this week on horror. We're going to
Ooh.
talk about horror video games and horror in theater. We're going to start with video games because mainly it's more prevalent in video games, and then we'll move on to how it plays a role in theater. Hey, I don't know how to get started.
Kind of hard one. I guess I'll start. Uh, Mostly, I don't like horror stuff. Movies, I don't really like it. I definitely won't do like Field of Screams around me, where it's these you go through a haunted house and these people grab you and scare you, and no, that isn't for me. But I have tried a couple of horror games, and most of them have been in VR, which is
Oh,
even
God.
more
Ooh,
horrifying.
Tony, cool.
Which
It's
ones?
it's so cool. For the life of me, I won't be able to tell you. But there was one. I think it's called like The Experiment or something like that. And it's you get a pistol, and these dead things are coming at you. And we were freaking out because this was like 2 in the morning. And you, at a certain point in the levels, you have to shoot them in the. You can shoot them in the body a couple times, and then they'll die. But you have the one gun and only a finite amount of bullets. So, yeah, at a certain point, you have to be so steady that you shoot him in the head because you only have enough bullets for as many enemies as there are. And it was horrifying and we discovered that if you don't look at them, they won't attack you.
Oh.
So, so like there could be one right behind you that snuck up behind you, but it won't attack you because you're not looking at it. And it was horrifying because you'd be like, bang, bang, bang. Okay, cool. And it freaked out my one friend so much that he literally like got in a ball with the headset on, and I was like, no. And that we were looking at it on the screen, because the way it is, you can see it on the screen of your eyes or on the PC monitor, and we were all watching it on the PC monitor, and we were looking, and he was swarmed. 24 around him. They were like, and he took it off. He was like, no, not dying like this. No, no, no. But it's neat. I think especially with VR, horror is definitely a genre of gaming that will really take shape.
But it's so interesting that you don't like horror movies or like grabby haunted houses, but you like did you have a good time playing VR, or was it very stressful?
Very stressful. It was incredibly stressful. VR as a whole to me is so cool. It is such a neat thing, but it's all very stressful. It's
You're living it.
exactly. But no, that was the one real horror experience. Uh, and something completely unrelated. Hey Siri, I didn't say you. Go away. Sorry. The It was in Minecraft. I've got a couple of examples of friends doing horror things. He was in VR playing Minecraft on a server we all had a while ago now, and we all had like admin powers, so we can, if someone was being a jerk, we could be like, "You are dead now," and that kind of thing. So we built up a tower to literally as high as it can possibly go, with a hole in the center. And he was in VR, and we teleported him up there and took out his legs. So took out the block underneath him, and he fell from the highest possible length. And he freaked out. Like, he immediately went offline. And it was like, he might actually have killed him because he just fell equivalent of like 250 stories. So we were like, oops. You could do that sort of thing in VR. Is you can really mess with someone on a horror game kind of thing. So you see this thing burst, think of Alien. You look down and see this thing bursting out of your chest. That'd be horrifying to me, at least. So,
Yeah, I think most people would agree with you there.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I would be at least mildly concerned if an
If I s-
alien burst from my chest. Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's got a lot of potential, depending on how.
Yeah, absolutely. Or I think it's Go ahead, Owen.
I guess my experience with horror is, like Tony, I don't really like horror movies. Haunted houses, I haven't been in a haunted house in a long time. When I was a kid, it never really bothered me. I guess because I knew that there were people, and I was like, whatever. They were like there, and they were paid people and stuff like that. But like horror movies, I don't. There's horror movies I don't do when they're specifically designed as like jump scare things. I don't like that. I don't like jumping and like having a heart attack because I already have like heart issues. And like,
Buddy.
Probably do too. Let's be honest.
Guys,
yeah.
this episode is horror in a different way.
Please, I have a slight heart murmur and I have low blood pressure. That's my heart issues. But like, yeah.
Okay.
But I
All right.
don't. But when I like get like startled, like I have to like sit down and like.
Clear.
Yes. So like horror movies that are like mindfuck horror movies, I'm okay with that. That aren't and stuff like that, psychological thrillers, whatever. And then of course the exception to all these rules, as you both know, with me, zombies. I love me some zombie movies.
When I met Owen, one of the first things he said was, "Oh yeah, there's a machete in my trunk." I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." He goes, "It's a bug. It's a bug
to
oven."
know about Owen. Yes.
I was like, "Okay, it makes sense, but all right."
But
Owen makes an interesting first impression.
I do. So zombie movies, I don't get scared by because I overanalyze the crap out of them.
That's fair. Would this actually work, kind of thing?
Yeah.
There are a few horror movies. The only time I ever watch horror movies is during October. I let myself. I'm not a huge Halloween person, and my girlfriend can attest to that, and she hates me for it because she's a huge Halloween person. But I will watch it during October. There was one. This was actually the exception to that rule too. It's on Netflix. It's called. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. The whole thing is the woman's deaf, and there's a woman. Hush. That's what it's called. It's called Hush. So
you spoil this mysterious movie for us, Tony. The whole thing is that she's deaf.
No,
okay,
you
that's
knew
the
this.
premise, not the ending.
That's the premise.
Okay.
So it is you watch this whole thing and you're like, what are you doing? Oh no, she should do this. Oh crap, she doesn't know how loud she's being. Like that kind of thing.
That's an interesting, yeah.
And it's the ones that bug me the most, horror movie wise, are the ones that could actually happen, and that is one of them. Yeah, that was not okay. But yeah, no, horror movies are still not my shtick.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never liked them as a kid, but as an adult/young adult, I think they're kind of interesting because it's fun to think about like the way movies are predictable and you're like, oh, they're going to get together, or like, oh, it's going to be a happy ending somehow. He's going to get that job or whatever. And you go into a horror movie and you get to assume like the opposite. Like, oh, well, at least 6 of them will be dead like by the end of this hour. Like, I wonder which 6. Like, I wonder how. I think it's funny to like guess it in that way. Not much scares me anymore, I don't think. I watched most of the Saw franchise, which deteriorates really fast into like total just like insane gore to the point where you're like,
so much gore. Yeah.
why are you doing this?
So you didn't see the new one?
No, probably not. Although I heard it wasn't going to be bad, but I don't think
the original Saw, Jigsaw, whatever killer is back from the dead supposedly, and blah blah. Yeah, pretty much they're trying to bring back the franchise.
I mean, he died like in the 3rd one, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah, but weren't like the ones after that like they were copycat killers? This is supposedly like him being back from the dead because they like dig up his grave or something in the trailer at least. I don't know. I don't care.
Like,
I'm not going to watch it.
It's so complicated and unbelievable that like you don't even know what's going on. You just know there are traps and like who are they going to kill? But I think it's interesting to think of also from a standpoint when you're watching like gore of like, how did they do that? Like, I know that's not his arm. So like, what is it? Like, how did you film
technically, yeah, that can be kind of cool. But...
I try to think, I think that's what makes it not scary for me. Like, even there was like a grisly scene in like Handmaid's Tale and I was like, ugh. And my friend was like, just think about it this way. That's not his arm. Like, what are they doing? And I was like, oh yeah, now it's like nothing. What is that? It's like a mind thing. When I was a kid, I used to play Eternal Darkness on the GameCube with my brother Jared and my cousin Evan. we would play it together, and we'd be so scared when you like open the door and there's like a woman in the bathtub and then she's gone. It was one of those like psychological games where you're like solving a mystery, and it turned out to be like ancient gods being resurrected and some sort of horror.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Which I was told that's a comedy, which it kind of is,
Mhm.
but also not really. But it's
Dark comedy.
It's a very dark comedy if it's a comedy. But
Those can be fun. Yeah, I think horror is fun like in a group. Like I liked watching horror movies in a group with friends, and I like
Same
playing
thing
horror,
with horror games.
Exactly. Like you want to play in a group so you can be like boo
Yeah,
And,
I
like-
can't. I played Slenderman. I tried playing it by myself. I was like, nope, I need my friend here. So I brought a friend. And we played it together. And
I just like what would be fun about it if you're playing alone. Like I feel like then where's the enjoyment coming from? Like I'd feel like a sociopath if I was just like, interesting. Or else I'd be
that's
like
fair.
playing alone. Like I don't know. For me it's like with groups or like why?
Yeah.
Where will my joy come from?
And that's why single player horror games are like you see them a lot. Like they're either like you can see they have great streaming potential, and they also because you get to see their people's crazy reactions, but then like they're also fun to do with other people. Whereas,
Yeah.
like,
That I can get behind. If we do if like the three of us did a horror game,
Absolutely.
that would be really fun. But
Yeah, even if just one person is playing and we're watching and like screaming, go that way to you. Don't open that door.
don't open the door. Don't do it. Don't do it.
We
Yeah,
told you not to do it.
yeah, that could be really fun.
That's
That could be a lot of fun.
Fun.
But then there are also pretty great co-op horror games, at least in my opinion. Left 4 Dead franchise is one of my favorite games of all time. That technically counts as a horror franchise. It's zombies. I just played. They did a free weekend of Dead by Daylight, which is a game where like you're trapped in like this enclosed area with this killer, and you have to start these generators to open the door to get out of it, and you have to work together with the other people in the area, and it's a lot of fun. And it can be scary, but if you're focusing on the objective, and
Not as scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
Usually
have
have-
the new Friday the 13th game, which is very similar to
Nope.
Dead by Daylight.
It's not my thing. Just no.
Yeah. It all depends on like what you like and like what in particular scares you. Because even non-scary games can scare people. My brother Jared was scared of the piranha plants in Mario 64, which I do not find scary at all. But you know that was a horror element for him, and he would not go near them.
Killed me a lot.
I got scared. This one level in the Bugs Life video game, which is the only video game my mom and I ever played together. And I got her into it when she had broken her leg and she needed something to do. so we played that together. There was this level where
That's a neat topic. I like this. What scared us that probably shouldn't have.
Yes.
Video.
there was this like where you're in this underground tunnel and then you're running along. Some of these caterpillar like pops out of the ground. Like Jesus Christ! My mom's like, but yeah, it terrified me.
Yeah, things are different when you're a kid. I was deathly afraid of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I thought that was like the
Well, that
scariest
is a
movie I've
fucked
ever
up
seen.
scene.
They like torture those children. They turn that one girl into a blueberry, and I was like, I can't do this. I get that they're spoiled, but like they're children. Why don't you punish their parents?
Because they signed the waivers at the beginning.
I guess, but like extreme. Now she's a blueberry. I was terrified.
but now she's a blueberry.
What's left? How can she redeem herself?
They're
yeah.
golden juicer. They squeeze all the juice.
Kill her probably.
Right? Yeah. So that was terrifying to me as a child. You know, it's just what gets you.
Mhm.
What you're. We're all different.
In video games, there was a couple that freaked me out. Growing up in rural Pennsylvania, not even rural, just Pennsylvania. My neighbors growing up had hunting games. They had Dangerous Hunts because Cabela's does a series, and I actually have a couple because they're kind of fun. But Dangerous Hunts is the ones where you're not shooting deer, you're not shooting anything like that. You're shooting like bears and tigers.
These are the
and
ones where like they come at you
ones
if you
that
miss.
if you miss, they'll charge you as opposed to
Oh,
running
I
away.
feel like I've seen that like in bowling alley.
Yes, fun.
Yeah.
And we were like 11, and it was a polar bear. and I remember screaming so loud because it scared because I didn't see it coming,
Mhm.
and and my
That's
friend
what
was
you
like,
get for hunting polar bears. They're
Exactly.
in danger of being extinct, Tony.
I know, and I didn't see it coming, but this was at like 1 in the morning during a sleepover, and I screamed, and my friend was so mad at me. I was like, "But I didn't say it." I was like, "That was so scary." But yeah,
My brother's like that. He will just scream, like,
Mhm.
and you'll be like, "Oh, sorry."
no, that's good.
Hmm.
Other than that, I'm sure there have been instances that I was freaked out during video games, but not, none come immediately to mind.
Ooh, Zelda: Ocarina of Time. When you come back in the future and there are all those re-deads everywhere that like grab you and they're like, "Bleh!" Those were a little scary.
Yeah, that's scary. I'll give you that.
Then I got over it and beat the game.
What are they like? Can you do that?
They're
Sam?
like, they're like, I don't think I can do it.
Yes.
They're just like on you. It's pretty creepy. I bet if I played it now, I'd be like, gross.
What is
Get off.
I think I'd be like, these graphics are terrible.
Yeah. And I remember thinking like, wow, these graphics are like to die for. And now
Very
you're like,
fast.
which triangles am I? I'm those triangles. I want to kill those. Okay, we're fine. I got it.
I got this.
You got this. Those were the days.
Back in the day.
Let's move on to horror in theater.
Yeah.
It is, you don't see it very often, but there are some very big shows that they're
Are
basically
meant to be scary. Yeah.
Yeah. And if not at least scary, then very dark.
Sure.
Um,
That have horror elements at the very least.
mhm.
Like what was just big that's closing that I'm sad I did not get to see, 1984. But I feel like the horror element of that was like a real draw. People heard it was like so dark and fucked up and you just wanted to see like how.
Mhm.
How are you doing it? How are you going to do the rat
is this so-
cage?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like it's happening in front of you. Like people are doing something and I just want to know how. And that's the draw for me is like, well, how are you going to handle this? Well, it's going to be surprising. Well, I'm seeing it happen to people really in front of me, not video game graphics and not even filmed because you're like, you can do anything in post, but like you came up with something to make horror happen live in front of me. That's why I wanted to see 1984 too. Although I also think it's very relevant. Yeah. Something to
Unfortunately relevant.
Yes.
Some big shows that are horror based. You could say Sweeney Todd.
Absolutely.
Definitely one of the top
Which I
ones.
love, which is amazing. So good.
Other
You could say,
ones.
Little Shop of Horrors is kind of horror-esque,
Technically.
and I think the musical ends.
It can be turned
Don't the aliens
horror-esque.
win in the musical? I mean, it's campy, but it's got like that
Yeah.
campy horror sort of.
Yeah, no, yeah. In the musical, the plant wins.
Yeah, which I've never seen the whole thing.
It's a lot of fun.
I bet.
Because they come out, the whole thing is don't feed the plant at the end,
Then
which
of course
is very
there's
fun to be.
this is a horror for multiple reasons, but Carrie.
Absolutely. Although, isn't that like heralded as the worst musical ever written?
Exactly why I said horror for multiple reasons. Although supposedly like the 2013 revival off Broadway did pretty well, so I don't know what they
I
did
heard
with
that
that.
too.
I mean, I
Yeah,
never
I
listened
haven't
to
listened
it.
to the music. Me neither.
But looking at like even the West End, Woman in Black has been running for what, like 20 years over there. There's a play version of Woman in Black.
And there's a
I
lot.
saw the movie version of that. It's not bad. It had Danny Radcliffe. It was Danny Radcliffe's first non Harry Potter movie, or post Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. It had a couple cool twists and turns. Speaking of Harry Potter, even while reading The Last Child, or The Cursed Child,
Cursed
whatever it is,
Child.
it's right over there. Even that could have some horror.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
reading it. And I was like,
There's
that
definitely
could
horror
be
in that.
I was like, tech stuff wise, they can do a lot of horror with that.
Absolutely.
So,
And that's another good example of how like those elements are what interest me in the play. Like I don't like the story. The story makes me angry, but like I would still cut off my legs to see it because like how are you going to do that in front of me? There's
I
like
wanna
a
see this.
train, there's ghosts. I mean like they transfigure somebody on stage.
There's a lot of
They
really
pull
cool tech
any
stuff. I wanna
punches.
see it. Yeah, because they
I
know.
know.
Well, to that extent, the person writing it, whoever it was, whose name is escaping me, because it was like, I got the okay to make this about Harry Potter. I'm going all out.
Mhm.
So because they're gonna pay for it.
Right, right. There's the interest, so you can go all out, which is why it's such a shame it doesn't have a better story. Or
I
better
like the story.
characterizations.
It's
We'll debate that in another occasion.
yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Good luck
I thought it-
getting tickets to it because I mean it's not even on sale yet, and people are already predicting like it's gonna sell out within like,
Immediately.
Yeah. You have to sign up for the like if you're the whole Ticketmaster, like you sign up on the pre thing, and then you'll get an email alert saying like now you can go buy tickets, and those tickets are gonna be like $400, and like I can't afford
gonna
that,
be huge.
and so I'm already pretty much
it's
giving
gonna
up hope of seeing at least with the original cast. That's not happening, but I imagine it's gonna run for a while.
forever. Yeah, and so like 10 years from now, we can all rush it.
Play the lotteries, man.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I directed a horror play once, a short play in a series of short plays that we did at Capitol Stage, where I apprenticed, and we did 6 short plays about like counterculture. And there was this one play that I considered to be a horror piece, which was called Kiss and Tell, and it was by Stephen Yaki, a very talented and kindly man, who's my Facebook friend now because I met him. But it's about 3 college kids who steal some beers from the fridge and go play truth or dare in the shed out back with this weird kid who one of the guys likes, he thinks he's cute. So his friend, the girl, dares the guy to kiss the other guy, and they kiss, and then everybody's like, "Ha, you're gay! Oh my god, we're gonna tell everybody!" And so he freaks out and murders them with a sledgehammer, and that's the short play. And I think it's so great. It was the most popular one that we did in the series. Everybody liked it the most because I think you're not expecting that, and I always want to see new.
Well, now I am.
In the theater. Yeah, now you are. Now the ending is ruined. But you just want to see something not expected, like kids playing truth or dare in a shed. You don't expect it to be okay. I love when you play with the unexpected and what makes people snap and how you could get to such an extreme circumstance that this is how you react. So I think it's kind of fun because you don't see it a lot, much less often than you see grand romances or tragedies. Is this little subgenre.
And,
there.
I was in a horror play. My one acting credit when I worked
Yes.
for Purple Rose, technically it was a horror play. We did the play called
Zombie.
2AZ, 2 Years After Zombies, and I played a zombie. And
All your dreams came true.
until the show got canceled, which is another thing.
Sometimes shows get canceled.
Sometimes they get canceled, but there's a lot, especially in regional theater. Audiences tend to go to the theater. Even audiences in regional theater don't really want to go see tragedies unless Arthur Miller or something really
unless
classic.
it's really
But
big
because
names,
they don't
so.
want to go to the theater and be unhappy, which you
Right.
see often. Now,
which is kind of
that's
fair. If
They
you,
want to go see fluff pieces and musicals, which
And I
it's
think
fair,
also-
but at the same time,
it
Yeah.
sucks, but it's fair.
You have to find your audience too, right? Because so many theaters are built on a subscriber base, subscriber base. I can talk. Subscriber base of the elderly.
that's because they
They're always
have
so-
disposable income.
They get it. Yes, absolutely. They're the most suited to see theater, and people our age who might be more interested in horror or edgy or avant-garde pieces don't think of the theater as let's go out to the theater tonight, unless they're us, unless you work in theater and it's your life. But it's not
And
let's go see a
convincing our
play.
non-theater friends to go see theater.
Right? They'll
Go
be
see
a
theater.
play.
Do
Boring.
it. This is my life.
And you want to tell them it doesn't have to be boring. And if you guys liked it, it wouldn't be so boring because we could start making things for your audience. But of course, it's expensive too. So it's more a big deal to go out, not just I'm going to go rent a movie or anything.
especially with things like Netflix now, where you don't even have to leave.
Yeah, you don't have to pay.
You don't
And
have to
we're
leave
so
your house.
poor. Reference back to that article we all talked about being so weird. Millennials are not going out to eat as much and they're not buying as many groceries. What's going on?
We're starving ourselves. I'm
it's
pretty much
so
limiting myself to 2 meals a day. I'm saving so much money.
So,
Yeah.
so it's hard because you want to write new things for a younger audience. But I do think there's a generational gap in what kind of theater people like. I even find that in feedback to my plays, I find that younger people are you should go further with the weird parts, and older people are could you please complete your thoughts?
Please stop
The
being so
timeline
weird.
is older. Yeah, could you put some more schmaltz in it? It was a bit of a downer. Somebody actually told us that to put more schmaltz in it, which is a fine suggestion. But I was but what kind? Why do you want that?
Why do you need the schmaltz?
Just because like your idea of theater is different than mine.
Mhm.
It's interesting.
And that's always hard with the critiques like that. You got to find the line of, okay,
Yeah.
well, I understand what they're saying, but also that's not what I want at all.
I want to say, yeah. And the truth
So-
is, like, I can't write a version of the play for every person. I
Yeah.
just, at the end of the day, have to be like, this is my version.
Yeah.
Get
I mean,
what you
at the end of the day,
This is
a
my
lot of
version. Suck it.
People
kind of.
go
Yeah.
to the theater
Go
to,
if you want
like,
to.
as a form of escapism, and the difference between live theater and movies is that the live theater is there in front of you. It's real people, so it can get very real very quickly.
Absolutely.
Whereas
And
movies
how
is
do you
always
deal
going to be
with
that kind of disconnect.
complexity?
The
That's
disconnect
true.
of, oh, okay, they faked this person.
But that's absolutely true. Because,
This
yeah,
person's
it
not
can be
real.
so. Exactly.
Mhm.
And they're not here in front of me. Which is why, like, the play I described before, obviously, we don't actually watch him, like, knock off their jaws. It's like a freeze. It's stylized.
Yeah, but
Which
that's the
is
thing,
like-
especially with gore in the theater. It's always like, amazing to see how they pull it off, and if it's done well, it can like shake people to the core.
Oh my God, yeah. People got freaked out. We did a comedy that ends with like a real bloodbath. And we like rigged up one of the characters with this blood rigging and blood shot out of her neck when she gets shot. And like an elderly couple in the front row like closed their eyes like and looked away because they couldn't handle it. And I was like, surely you don't think this is real? Like the gun doesn't look real. There was no bullet. Like it wasn't even done super realistically. The blood was cool, but it wasn't like, I was just like, wow. But just something about it got to them, and they were like, "This is horrible. I have to leave." So intense. I thought it was
That's
a
so cool, though.
comedy.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
when I was doing my show, and my parents came and saw me. I was a zombie. I played multiple different zombies throughout the show, and I
Yeah.
died many times. I died 4 times, I believe,
Nice.
4 or 5 times.
Well
How
done.
did you do the combat elements?
As a zombie, yeah, I'm interested.
The guy who wrote it is also he wrote it, was one of the actors in it. He was also a good stage combat guy. We had another stage combat guy on there, so they did that all very well. It was all very stylized and
Mm-hmm.
all choreographed. Like all the fight scenes were very choreographed, and we had to go through fight call every day.
Yeah.
So everyone had to like fall a certain way, and like it timed out very much. So it worked out very well. And then there were only certain times when like you saw like a lot of blood, and obviously there were times, but they were like specific deaths that you had to like, okay, like this needs to have an impactful death. Whereas like me being a zombie, like okay, the zombie's just gonna fall over dead. There's no blood
Right.
or whatever. But if like one of the characters in the show died, that was human died,
But yeah, the character died. Yeah.
then
Sure.
yeah, you're gonna show some blood because you want them to be like, oh shit.
Oh no, this person we just
but,
invested our emotions in is dead.
But when my parents came and saw the show, I had like when we'd gone through training of lying on the floor pretending to be dead, we had to do control our breathing to make it seem like okay, we're lifeless.
Which
And
is
my-
like one of your talents.
And my parents came up afterwards and were like, we thought you were actually like hurt for a second because you weren't moving, and we were like checking to see if your chest was breathing, and it wasn't.
And you were like, thanks, Mom and Dad.
I'm so happy. Thank you so
I
much.
did so good.
I fooled my parents into thinking I was actually hurt. Yeah.
Acting win.
Go me.
So yeah.
So real.
So
Yeah, choosing to use blood is always very interesting. And I'm always like, don't do it because like, where's it gonna go? You're gonna ruin all the costumes. Now the floor is slippery. People are gonna fall. But also like using it is so fun. I learned how to make squibs for that same bloodbath show, and like they're so fun to make and they're so fun to use. And you never know what's gonna happen. And that's like one of the joys of live theater is like dealing with.
And you need to find the right type of blood for the right type of scene.
Yes.
To have the right if it's like a spurting blood, it needs to be a different consistency than if it's like
Is it a dripping blood? Is it like an oozing blood? We did like a wrist cutting in my recent play, and it was like old crusty blood that was like not going to go anywhere. And even so, it was like, yeah, it was gross. I loved it. But so she could just wipe the knife on her arm, and the blood would
Yeah.
stay there, and you could see like it's cut, but it wouldn't be like and ruin everybody's costume and get on the floor for our many fight sequences to come. So yeah, it's a fun, like it's a whole world. We could do like a lengthy episode on blood making for the theater.
I did read an article about that recently, like the different types of blood and like how like Shakespeare theater in DC, like because there's a lot of blood in Shakespeare.
That's Shakespeare.
Absolutely.
They're like, we use this type of blood for this and this type of blood for this, and they two went over through the rest of it. I'm like, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's so neat, but also
Amen.
yeah.
Yeah. But
So, yeah.
Well, we're just about a half hour right now.
Woo!
So, hope you all enjoyed this episode.
Blood.
Yes.
We'll leave it at that. We'll leave
Yes.
it at blood.
Hey.
So, we'll do new episode next week, and we'll hopefully see you all again. Again, like, subscribe,
Woo!
whatever.
Tell
Just
us what
take
you
time
want
to
us to talk
actually
about.
listen to it. Let us know that you've actually listened to it, because we have no idea if you have, if there's anyone out there listening to this or not.
Is anybody there?
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.